we start and then people can join. Can you see the presentation, everyone?
Yes.
Okay, very good, very good. So I think we're just gonna give people a few minutes to join. There's people are joining right now, so so good. Welcome everyone, and so Nabil, Texas, you guys are getting control of this issue that you had before with the freezing and everything.
Yeah, we're good. We're good right now. I mean, it was just a bad week, and now life is back to normal. You know, it took some people time to recover, but yeah, it's back to normal. The weather is beautiful, and yeah, back to normal.
Back to
That's
normal.
good.
And Aman, what about your side in California? Sunny?
Sunny, and we've been very fortunate so far. I hope that we don't get any fires or any droughts this year. So just keeping our fingers crossed. But other than that, it's sunny, it's beautiful as always.
Right. So Michigan is turning nice as well. So today is a beautiful day, a lot of sun.
What's
So
what's the temperature?
Yeah, right now it is 55 degrees, but yesterday the high was 70 in a bit for March.
Oh wow!
Yeah, 70. Unbelievable.
Not bad. Not bad.
This winter was very mild, except for a week or two. I mean, it was really mild. Yeah.
Well, that's good. That's good. That's a change from the harsh and long Michigan winters.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Babu, when is university opening the campus?
I think fall, most of our classes will be on campus. I think in person. Assuming that people will get vaccinated, and so there are some anxieties out there. So the hope is that most people will be fully vaccinated by the end of summer, so that we can go back to the normal way of teaching classes. I think students and faculty and everybody is sort of tired, right, being on Zoom all day, right, for the classes. Yeah, so it will be good to go back.
It will be good. Okay.
Yeah. And
I think it's about time. Go ahead, Babu.
No, nothing. Let's go ahead and get started.
I think it's about time. So good afternoon, good evening, and good morning. I think we're people joining from different areas. My name is Noman. I'm with IndustryX. I'm the host for this program. I appreciate you joining this program today. And this is our second session in our data science and analytics thought leadership program. And we welcome everyone to this program. And today we have some exciting panelists with us. So we will be talking about data to value roadmap. How do you start this journey? How do you put a data to value roadmap together? So with this, let's go around the table for introductions. So we can start with Nabil. Go ahead, Nabil.
Yeah, good. Good morning, and thank you, Noman. Appreciate it. Well, my name is Nabil Wad. I'm currently the VP of Data Science at GM Financial. And my background is largely around building and deploying data and analytics capabilities, mainly focused on transformations and global business initiatives. And over the last 25 years, I've been focusing on financial services, risk management, operations, and also automotive product development, where I had the opportunity to establish global data teams and implement initiatives across the US, Asia, and Europe. And I'm happy to be part of today's discussion and to be associated with IndustryX and its mission to advance the state of data analytics and operational excellence. So thank you, Noman, for having me.
Oh, thank you, Nabil. It's our pleasure to have such a accomplished leader coming to us on the panel and to be involved in this whole program and developing this program. So we appreciate that. My dear friend Aman.
Thanks, Norman, and thanks for having me. I currently work as a Senior Director of Sales Finance and Strategic Initiatives at Xilinx here in Silicon Valley. In my career, I have basically worked in roles ranging from sales analyst to revenue planning, sales planning, pricing, and currently, like at sales finance. The good thing is that as I moved in the Silicon Valley about 10 years back, the companies were just starting to, experiment with all the new tools that are available, right? All the machine learning algorithms that were coming in place. And I was fortunate enough to get the first-hand knowledge and was there to basically implement and see those transformation journeys, be part of it, lead those transformation journeys, build teams along the lines. So for the last 10 years, I've basically become a preacher, avid learner of how, these new techniques can actually impact the bottom line, right? I've seen that firsthand. So, very excited to talk about those today. And I continue to do that, at my day-to-day job today as well, because more and more organizations within the organizations, the silos are breaking, and the leaders are learning that okay, we can have like some serious impacts to our bottom line, like positive impacts, with these new and advanced techniques. So happy to be here, share some of my insights and learn more from the other panelists as well. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Aman. Thank you. It's a pleasure for you to join us today. Babu?
Good morning, good afternoon. Name is Ratna Babu Chinam. I'm a professor and chair for the Industrial and Systems Engineering Department at Wayne State. I have been here for the past 20 years. For nearly 30 years, I have been focusing on helping small, medium, large companies better leverage data science and analytics for advancing their operations, whether it be in manufacturing, supply chain management. Worked a great deal with companies in the automotive sector, currently doing some projects for the US Army, currently involved in a number of initiatives with some of the largest healthcare systems in the Detroit area, and also advise several startups as chief analytics advisor, things of that sort. So I had the pleasure of gaining a lot of experience over the last 30 years, and hopefully we can talk about some of those experiences during this webinar series.
Thank you. Thank you, Babu. No, it's a pleasure to have everyone here. And I think we can go deeper into this data to value roadmap and the strategies, how to start this journey and how can we be successful in this journey. Just a quick intro about IndustryX. So IndustryX is an innovation center of excellence. We focus on transforming operations with the power of advanced technology and AI. We're located in Detroit, Michigan at Wayne State University. So we bring a lot of leadership from research, the labs, workforce development, and venture. I want to talk just a little bit about one of the aspects which is so much needed in this environment, which is innovation. So the technology is moving so fast. We all know that the things are changing so rapidly. So no company can innovate everything by themselves. So it's the whole idea of innovating in-house is that idea is gone. So we have moved now from research and development to connect and develop through this ecosystem. So through IndustryX, we bring this ecosystem where you can open innovate with us, with our technology partners, with our students, with our researchers. And you can work with us on some exciting projects like deep tier supplier resilience analytic projects that we are working on. Projects, advanced projects on preventive maintenance and analytics projects. And just before this call, we were speaking to World Economic Forum on some collaboration. And so this is the value of this ecosystem that we are developing and we are building. And we welcome everyone to come and join us, work with us, bring your resources, bring your expertise, and use some of our expertise as well. So with this, let me start this program, which is this data science has become fundamental in operation improvement, operational excellence in the last few years. So it has gained a lot of momentum. And at this time, if some companies are not up to speed or they're not utilizing data science analytics, they're not going to be competitive. So data and analytics has become a competitive advantage for companies, has become differentiation and providing unique value. And some of the companies you see here and more, obviously there are more, they have really used data science to deliver value to their customers and differentiate themselves. So we're going to talk a lot about this today and how to start this journey, where to go from here. But first, I like to start with Dr. Chinam to talk about Walmart, how they have evolved in this space.
Sure, Naman. So certainly, data science and analytics is getting a lot of attention these days, right? But a lot of companies have recognized the importance of fully leveraging the data that they have, for years, if not decades. So here I will take a few minutes to walk us through, for example, a great company like Walmart, how it has been leveraging and harnessing, data to basically advance their operations. So pretty much ever since they got started, right, nearly 50 years ago, right, they recognized the importance of data, right? They started relying on IT systems for better inventory management, right? They started, 40, 50 years ago, they started putting in computer terminals at their stores. The barcode example is a major game changer because until that time, the manufacturing companies had what the dominant players within the supply chains, right? The likes of Procter & Gamble, Johnson & Johnson. These companies knew through their market research, what is it that the customers were looking for. Once Walmart started putting in these point of sale systems at their stores, they had granular understanding for what households are buying, what products go together, things of that sort. So at the time, there was a lot written about, these technologies are aimed at, labor reduction and things of that sort. That was not the case. I mean, the wealth of information that they were able to collect, right, through these point of sale systems completely changed the game, right? They began to collect very, very good information and allowed a company like Walmart to sort of better manage their product assortments, shelf space management, things of that sort, right? In the 80s, they have invested $300 million, $400 million in connecting the stores to the headquarters to make sure that the data is being shared with key suppliers in a timely basis, right? Things of that sort. Most companies today, right, don't have proper data warehouses, right? Amandeep was talking about, silos just a few seconds ago. 1990, right? They were trying to basically build data warehouses because they recognize the importance of basically, bringing all that data together to be able to basically derive the best possible insights and so on and so forth. Appointing the first CEO, right? So nearly 30 years ago, recognizing the importance of the data infrastructure, leveraging the data governance and all these kinds of things. So this is how, good companies have recognized the importance of data for decades, right? And constantly trying to learn and, push the boundaries in terms of what ought to be done. And that learning doesn't end, right? So there, for example, Walmart.com, right? Trying to basically take the competition to Amazon and, leveraging their stores to be able to partially play the role of fulfillment centers. So take advantage of the brick and mortar stores that they have, right? So, what else are they doing? So take, for example, this hurricane example, right, from 2004. Most companies would basically say, right, okay, so it's going to be disrupting our operations. What should we do? The CIO of Walmart basically challenged the team saying, what did we learn from Hurricane Charlie, right? What products will be demanded and which stores will be impacted. Let's pre-position the inventory, right? So not just descriptive analytics in terms of just understanding what happens, when there is a hurricane, but being able to look ahead, forecast, identify, pre-position the right inventory at the right stores, right? I mean, it's surprising insights. Something like Pop-Tarts, they notice that the demand shoots up by 500% or 1,000%, making sure that that product is available, through their global supply chains, things like that. So that is what, companies have to do to be able to, fully leverage the data infrastructure to, drive their operations. And it doesn't stop. So they're pushing the boundaries. I mean, so they're now opening up some new stores in New York and elsewhere that are heavily digital. They're trying to better understand how customers, go through the aisles. How are they acting? How are the products being substituted? How are customers engaging with these products and so on and so forth? They're trying to, again, as I said, combine the efficiency of their warehouses with the stores to be able to basically do drop shipments, right, within hours notice to their customers. They're trying to look at robots and things like that to be able to reduce the cost of labor and allow the associates to focus on value-added activity. So the robots can go pull the product and so on and so forth, so the associates can focus on the right activities. So this is a learning organization. This is not about a company saying, I have a data science team. Data science and analytics is the lifeblood of an organization like Walmart to be able to drive efficiencies within their warehouses, within their transportation, within their supply chain management, within their stores, inventory management, pricing, you name it, right? So, these are the opportunities that are available.
Excellent ideas, Dr. Chinam. Thanks for putting this together and bringing it to our attention. We will talk some more about these ideas throughout the program, but I just want to maybe share some a quick detail or information about this Forum X, where we invite fellows like Amandeep and Nabil and a lot of other people to work with us. So that's where a lot of action is happening, is benefiting the students as well. So if you have any interest in joining this Forum X, let us know. We would love to collaborate with you. Let's move forward. As you're starting this journey of data science, Nabil, let me ask you that. What is the first thing that you need to think about?
Well, obviously, this is all about value, right? Oftentimes, we tend to focus so much on the data and analytics as being the problem, when in reality there are no data analytics problems. It's really all about business problems. And so by focusing on the business problems, you're really focusing on value. And to me, value is about learning faster than the competition to basically achieve business objectives. And so in doing so, what you need to have a laser focus on is a business problem, right? And so, and value is not a kind of a one metric that you achieve in 1 month. It's really a stream. So we have to think about value as something that you have to manage over time. And based on the projects that I've been involved in, and we all talk about the data science life cycle in terms of starting with the business problem, going to the data preparation, feature engineering, and then you go to modeling and then deployment. But then, throughout all these phases, you always have to be thinking about how do you unlock the value. And in the last phase, I would always argue that there is this last phase of value management that's ongoing. Value is in action. Value is in use of the analytics. And organizations, some of them don't have the patience to kind of wait for that value to evolve incrementally. Some might focus on perfection, and I would argue that you have to focus more on progress versus perfection as you seek that value. And this is where organizations need to operate in two modes to achieve this value. One is to be very disciplined and to establish standards in the space of data and analytics, but at the same time to be very flexible and to be very leading edge. So that ability to operate in multiple modes that are opposing to a great extent is really key in delivering this value.
Great. No, this is a great point, Nabil. Let me ask Aman, is this data science a data science implementation program we should have, or how should we see this as? Is it like just implementing data science in a company? How do you see that?
Norman, that's a very interesting question, right? And time and again, this dialogue happens in the organizations that who should own data science, right? And again, this is not a siloed function, okay? The implementation, yes, absolutely. I think the initiative is a tops-down initiative, okay? This has to come from the C-suite if we have to make a serious impact towards the bottom line, right? But once that mindset is established, okay, this is not like we move something to production and it's said and done, okay? This is a constant evolution because the people who are implementing it, people who are using it, and people who are enhancing it, that talent needs to be developed, right? And it needs to evolve and grow over time, okay? Because, for example, I'll get a little bit more into tactical aspect of it. Back in the day, we did not have very sophisticated statistical tools. Okay, yes, we had MATLAB and we had some of those tools for modeling purposes. But today we have languages like R and Python. Okay, we don't even have to go write a code from the start. We can use statistical packages which are already built, and there's an ecosystem that's being developed, and people are basically adding to libraries. So what I'm trying to say is that if your workforce, if your talent base evolves accordingly, right, and they know where to go and how to tap these data sources and libraries, it cuts down a lot in terms of your productivity that you will be spending on building this in-house. Okay, so it's a constant journey. It evolves, right? And so does your business processes along with it. Okay, so I think the third point is very valid, right? We need to think this in terms as a constant evolution of data science within the organization and not just a BI dashboard. Okay. I'll give you another example. When I am hiring for my teams, okay, and when I'm interviewing, I always mention this, that if a finance analyst or sales analyst, right, or a pricing analyst is coming for a role, uh, if they if you're thinking that, okay, I'll be coming in and writing some reports, that's not a job for today, right? Probably, 15 years back that would have been a job profile. Today what the business needs is somebody who can look at the data and narrate the story and stitch the story so that we can say, this is what my data is telling me, and more importantly, this is the value that I'm going to get out of this data, right? Because that is what we are trying to achieve. Okay. So absolutely, right? The data science journey is, you do need to transform your business processes accordingly. But at the end of the day, we need to be able to communicate and narrate that story and stitch the value proposition at the end. Okay.
Got it. Got it. So, Babu, tell us about this when you're putting this program together, when you're putting this journey, think about the journey. Why is it important to think proactive and not reactive?
Sure, Naman. So when we talk about analytics, there are many different kinds of analytics, right? So you can think of it as a maturity model. Typically most firms get started with some kind of a descriptive analytics platform. So for example, BI tools have been very popular for the past 10, 15 years, allow us to rapidly understand, our operations in terms of the past, right? How did I run my plant, last week? How did my store, operate last month, and so on and so forth. So BI dashboards are extremely valuable, and for certain kinds of businesses, that is all they need, right? So the staff, the managers, the supervisors can basically rapidly extract the necessary insights. But for many other firms, right, there are significant lead times. Say, for example, you take a dealership, right? A dealership can't be thinking about, what did I sell today, right? If I were to place an order for a vehicle, right, it will be 2 months or 3 months before that vehicle will, hit my dealership. So I need to be thinking ahead, right? So I am in March, right? In summer, what products are likely to sell well, right, in my market, right? They need to look ahead, be proactive. So they place the orders today so that I will have the right inventory, 3 months from now, and so on and so forth. So again, there are businesses that can focus on descriptive analytics, and that is adequate. But for many other firms, we need, because of the significant lead time. Say, for example, I'm a Ford Motor Company, right? I need to build certain kinds of product. I have suppliers all the way in Taiwan, right? In Shanghai and or elsewhere, and so on and so forth. Long lead times. I need to coordinate. I need to be able to look ahead. So without that proactivity, it is difficult to drive, efficiency within the operations.
Right. And Dr. Chinam, if I can add to that, people most of the time they think in very stochastic ways, right, which is very unpredictable. But a statistician, he or she knows differently, right? Most executives in the organizations will tell you that, when they're shaping the business plans and strategies, forecasts basically serve as a great counterweight to the gut feelings. Okay.
Right.
But at the same time, they will also tell you that most of the time their forecasts are notoriously inaccurate. Okay. So what's happening today is, we are seeing these early signs that finance teams, I've seen, like myself and like two different organizations now, that finance teams are taking a very proactive role within the organizations. Okay. And they are experimenting with new techniques like automation, AI, ML, right? So that we can use this and put out a very good demand forecast, a very good sales forecast. And if there are underlying issues in those forecasts, we can address those proactively, right? To your point, great example with the automotive dealership. We are seeing similar trends within the semiconductor space as well.
Yes,
Okay?
exactly.
So, which basically, a good underlying data model and a good underlying forecasting model takes out that gut feeling and bias out of the equation, and gives you more certainty and predictability towards what needs to happen 3, 6, 10 months from now.
Right.
Good
Oh,
one.
good.
Yeah, Aman, I think if I may interject here, I think you really bring a great point, and I think the example that you mentioned about forecasting and finance, it really resonates with me, and it reminded me of an instance when I was working at some point in China, and I was talking to the CFO of a business there, and how they were so consumed by trying to understand the variance to forecast. And it really struck me as this is an implementation where you're using analytics to help guide the business, but then the business gets lost in terms of now all what we're doing is basically trying to run the business based on understanding that variance to forecast.
Right.
And so what was lost here is that where are the business objective? Are you actually trying to create the future, or are you trying to solve that variance? And when I mentioned this to him, I said, you're doing it all wrong. You're just focusing on the variance instead of understanding where you need to be and understanding where the market is taking you. Right, and that's a trap in analytics, whereby we end up focusing so much on the analytics and losing track of the business problem.
Exactly.
I fully agree. So I think this is very, very important. Like the value is important. Think about business transformation. But along the way, I think I keep hearing this: be flexible, be agile, evolve in this process. So I think these are some great points. I want to move to the next idea about what are some of the transformation priorities for data science. And here I listed 4 priorities. Number 1 is re-engineer your operations, improve your operations. Number 2 is to rebuild your organization, in which you build an organization which is data driven. You use analytics to get the right people into the business. Another priority is the connection with the customer. How can we strengthen this connection with the customer, revitalize this customer experience, and change this game of customer interaction, and this is so much needed, and we're seeing that how companies have leveraged this. And the last one is new business models. So I want to open up to the panel about their experiences, about their priorities, and how they have used data science in their work, or maybe their experience in these areas, or maybe other. Nabil, do you want to start?
Yeah, maybe I can. Let me kick it off here. I think these are really very tough questions, and let me start by saying, obviously, we're all shaped by our own experiences, right? So we're never entirely objective. But what I can tell you is that for any one of these 4 dimensions, if you will, to be able to make a difference in those areas, you need to kind of make sure you understand how you're positioning analytics. From my own experience, I haven't seen analytics and data science organization work well being highly centralized. And so what you need to do is try to implement some kind of a hub and spoke structure where you're pushing the data and analytics into the edges of the organization to where people make decisions, so you can innovate, you can change the business model, right? You can re-engineer operations, etc. So one example would be if you think automobile manufacturers, right? And if you think about the insurance industry, the auto insurance industry, I would argue that the manufacturers are in the best position to build the best insurance models. And so if you think about usage-based insurance, where you're actually assessed premiums based on how you drive the vehicle, based on where you drive it, based on what time you're driving the vehicle, all of that requires obviously tapping into the data that's generated by the vehicle. But I would argue above all, it really is a function of being able to push the knowledge about the data, the knowledge of the analytics to those individual functions within the business, so that there is this collaboration between the business experts and between the data analytics expert on a day-to-day basis, versus that being treated as a project, right? So if you make that part of the day-to-day interaction, examples like this, usage-based insurance in the auto industry becomes a reality. And companies have a tough time doing that simply because of the way analytics is organized. It's too centralized. So that's kind of a perspective on this.
No, that's a good point. Aman, you want to add something to that?
Absolutely, and I'll just piggyback on what Nabil said here. In my experience, Noman, what happens is when there are bigger events, okay, let's say Dr. Chinna mentioned about the hurricane and how Walmart reacted to it. Pandemics like COVID, right? When these events happen, these are one-off events, and the entire organization is basically looking at it, right? So we have enormous amount of data that gets pulled during these events. What I call as leakage is something that happens, during our day-to-day normal operations, right? When the data is not available and people basically make decisions based on their biases, and that is where the leakage happens, and that's where we have like true opportunities. When an organization achieves operational excellence, you can avoid all that, okay? And I'll give you an example. In one of my previous companies, we basically implemented a 9-box initiative where all the customers were tagged in certain categories, okay? And there's basically an algorithm behind the scenes which tells your pricing analysts that if this customer from this region, for this particular product requests a quote, you are allowed to give X% discount, right? And different boxes basically have different levels. In that exercise, what we ended up doing, we basically democratized the data, okay? And we decentralized the decision making, okay? Now, not everything is basically coming up to VP of pricing as an escalation that, hey, like XYZ customer is asking for a 5% discount, okay? We decentralized that decision making, but still we gave our pricing analysts those boundary conditions through that algorithm that you can only go and play within that sandbox, okay? What it did, it basically cut down all the leakage, so there are no biases, no gut feelings. It cut down a lot in terms of escalations coming up food of chain, right? Because what happens with escalations is, then you get into that relationship mode that I know that salesperson pretty well, and that salesperson has a very good relationship with the customer. So, I'm inclined to give that extra 2% to maintain that relationship, right? So you cut that subjectivity out of the equation. And then at the end of the day, with democratization of the data and correct decision making, you add like true EBITDA dollars to the bottom line, right? So and all that is possible if we basically have that underlying talent structure in place and underlying data infrastructure in place. Okay. So once we do that, and this is just one example, and you can have like multiple examples, with different functions. So going back to Nabil's point, of hub and spoke, you don't need like a centralized data analytics team of 20 PhDs, right? You basically need data analysts, data scientists within the functions to be able to support and, like continuously enhance these algorithms. Okay. So that 9-box model that we built 3 years down the lane, it basically became a 27-box model because we added another variable into the mix, which was region. Okay, so and it only happens when you have that data scientist sitting within that function, continuously learning the business and then evolving the algorithms.
If I can make some quick comments, Noman, really great points. The hub and spoke model that Nabil talked about, most of the companies around us are struggling to leverage at scale data science and analytics for advancing their operations. See, often we don't fully recognize the importance of domain knowledge. Way too many projects fail, right? Way too many, vast majority of analytics projects fail because you are not developing the solution in consultation with the experts from the different functions. There is tremendous domain knowledge, and that knowledge is extremely key to be able to basically develop a solution that will be robust, that can add value, right? Things of that sort. So this democratization is extremely important, right? When Nabil was at a previous company, I mean, he was trying to basically bring in that domain knowledge in the function in the form of liaison officers and things like that. So decades of experience informing how data science and analytics teams are sort of assisting, different functions and things of that sort. So that's very, very important. In terms of the value, yes, operations often are quick hanging, low hanging fruit, immediate impact, right? That's where we can focus. But, among the is in the semiconductor industry, that shortage of chips is, badly hurting the automotive industry today, right? Companies globally are not able to basically build product, long lead times. It takes, 3 years, 4 years to basically build up that capacity. So there are strategic implications as well. So data science can help inform, operations management, tactical, strategic decision support, but we need the right kind of, organization. That's a learning organization, constantly trying to democratize analytics, empowering the frontline workers to be able to basically, leverage these tools to make better decisions day in, day out. Yeah.
I think is a good point.
Yeah.
In terms of the maturity model for this, here I like to present maybe just a high level overview of how companies can mature in this journey. I think the first point of a company when they start is the right focus is to improve the business and to establish the organization for data analytics. So this is the first phase in which you start to improve businesses, you start to do projects, and I think maybe I'll seek some advice from our panelists as well about their experiences. But this is the phase where you start to build the foundation, learning and improving the business at the same time. From there, you can start to understand that what I know, how can I expand the business? How can I create new sources of revenue? How can I monetize the opportunities that I have? How can I grow the business? And then the third one is reimagining the business, business innovation. And we're seeing that more and more companies. Last time we talked about the example of John Deere which is a farm equipment manufacturing company, and they moved from equipment manufacturing to farm management. And this is where the new business models come into the picture. So maybe let's take maybe a few minutes. Aman, what are your thoughts about this maturity model, and how have you seen this maturity model progressed in your experience?
Yeah, Norman, I can share like multiple examples, but let me share like this specific one. Okay, it's very close to my heart. We basically built it many years back. When I graduated, first with my master's program, the second of second year of that job, I worked for a company which basically built equipment for underground mining. Okay, and this was back in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I was basically a sales analyst, and I was supporting our aftermarket activities, right? So in a simpler terms, when Ford or GM they sell a car, they generate a lot of revenue from aftermarket, right? So when there are accidents and you need to replace certain parts of the car, right? Very similar in the mining business. When you built a equipment and that equipment goes underground, there is a failure rate on components. Okay, and this was about $600 million market segment of the company, highly profitable. Okay, since it was highly profitable, right? The company rarely bothered about exploring more avenues of monetization. Okay, uh, that year, we were a little light on revenue, so obviously, like I was assigned to that team as there was no term called data scientist at that time. I'm talking about like 15 years back. Uh, but yes, as an analyst, I was assigned to that team, and we built a very simple yet very sophisticated model based on statistical analysis of mean time between failures of these components that go into that mining machine. Okay, what we identified was $120 million worth of SAM, right? Which is our own equipment, our own components that failed in the field, but yet we don't get that business. Okay, so once the organization saw that monetization opportunity, right, there was a full sales team that got assigned, and we actually tapped and got like 20% of that in the very first year, right? That's $20 million at a very high gross margin. It adds a lot of value to the bottom line, right? So the point is that yes, once we have the data structures in place, and data analysts, data scientists, get assigned to functional areas, and we can tap into that data, mine organizational data. You don't have to go outside the organization. You can create those revenue and monetization opportunities and grow the business, right? And there are tons and tons and tons of live examples like that. Okay, but yes, the reason I was able to do my job was because we had an underlying data infrastructure in place, which I was able to go mine, and with the help of true functional resources, we were able to go and implement that. Okay.
Good example, Amandeep.
Thank you.
No, this makes a lot of sense. So let's move to the next part. I want to spend some time in this last part on the building this roadmap, or how do we develop this transformation roadmap. So let me talk about this 4-phase program, transformation program, in which the phase 1 is about discovering the aspiration, discovering that where you need to go. And this is, we've been talking about the value, understanding value, understanding business objectives, understanding strategy, and connecting this program to that value. And that's where the first phase is, where you develop this aspiration blueprint by understanding the guiding purpose, by understanding the capabilities within the company, and then the exciting opportunities that are out there. Phase one, very, very important that you focus on this discussion, this dialogue. Um, Next one is the alignment. A lot of the time, the transformations fail because the company is not aligned. People, the change vision is not communicated. The right talent or resources are not aligned. So the second phase of this program or this roadmap is about building this transformation roadmap where you align the organization, the key stakeholders, you build a transformation office within the organization around data science. You establish a transformation team around data science. You communicate this information to the rest of the organization, and also understand that what are the resource requirements in this whole process. Because if you don't have the right resources, that your data aspirations or your aspirations to go somewhere is not going to go very far. And then after this, then you start your first pilot. Okay. So I put a lot of attention to the first two steps, because if you do the first two steps correctly, only then you can have a good pilot, then you can start to create the short-term wins. And then obviously after that, you can scale. And I talked about establishing the change team, in which you have the executive steering committee, transformation management office, sponsors, and then the supporting functions, and then the project teams. So with this in mind, I like to talk about this developing data science aspiration blueprint. I like to start with Nabil. How do you see it, and how would you advise our audience that they can look into this aspiration blueprint?
And I would say the first thing to keep in mind, Noman, is that the problems that we are dealing with are always changing. So there's a lot of uncertainty in, when you tackle these business problems. So on one hand, you would argue, well, you need some pre-planning and you need some discipline, which is needed to get you going. But also the world is changing. I mean, think what happened last year, and think about the position we're in today. Can you truly now rely on what's happened in the past to be able to navigate the future? No, you have a new reality in place, so you're going to have to really be adaptive. And I think, any kind of a roadmap needs to have both a planned component and then an immersion component. And you have to always be able to adapt. And then if you ask the next question, well, what does it mean to be able to adapt and to be resilient? Well, you're really talking about some key elements that you need to build into your roadmaps. One would be, how do you maintain diversity in your analytical efforts and your data analytical efforts? I mean, do you have enough perspectives coming from different areas of the business? How is the level of collaboration within the business? Are people participating to the level they should be participating at? And so you have really a variety of factors that fall under the topic of resilience that I think companies need to pay more attention to and develop these roadmaps with these characteristics in place. To me, these days, it's all about how you react. You can plan all day long, but you really need to be able to react. And then again, the question becomes, what are those characteristics that you're building into your company to do that? Within a company, the challenge is that some functions are more advanced than others. And so there is that disconnect. I mean, back to your point about alignment, that's a huge topic. There's a severe problem of misalignment within companies, not only in terms of objectives and in terms of where they want to go, but also in terms of capabilities. And that creates an environment where maybe sometimes people don't trust each other. And so you have to look at this as a system and really kind of not try to kind of fix one item. You've got to look at different areas within the company to tackle at the same time.
Right.
So that's kind of a bit of a perspective on this.
I think it's a great point, Nabil. Aman, tactical case studies to start the program. How do you see that? How do you develop those business problems to start the program?
Yeah, so Nabil, in my experience, like one thing is for sure that this initiative needs to be a top-down initiative, right? If companies basically embarking on a journey that, hey, we need to democratize the data, we need to basically decentralize the decision making, it needs to start from the top. Okay, at the C level, that discussion needs to happen. That this is our vision and here's our strategy. Okay. I believe that within any organization, the finance organization, CFO, they are the best positioned to be the champions of advanced analytics program within the company. Okay, part of the reason is because any sort of data, whether it's supply chain operations, your R&D, your business units, your people data, at the end of the day, it does funnel through your finance organization. Okay, and CFOs leading this overall journey, I've seen like 2 successful implementations. So again, going back to my own personal experience, and they're very well positioned to provide that vision and to lead the widespread adoption of advanced analytics, right? Part of the reason, as I said, they have the most amount of data within an organization. So that's one. From a tactical case study perspective, what I've seen is that once the mission is established, okay, and the underlying facet of that mission is that the information in an organization should have the shortest path. Okay, so it shouldn't go through the multiple hierarchy levels to be meaningful, right? So once it goes through the shortest path, it becomes agile, it becomes nimble, and it adds the most value. Okay, uh, going back to the core of industrial engineering, right? We learned about Six Sigma and we learned about Lean. What Six Sigma does for an organization is it's basically provides the quality, right? Lean basically provides the speed. Okay, so if I tie that back to the data element, uh, once your data is clean, right? It's accessible. We can trust the integrity of the data. It basically provides us that effectiveness. Okay, and since it's accessible, it provides us that efficiency, right? The combination of that effectiveness and efficiency provides you a valued, timely, accurate decision. And that to me is the true value, right? Now you apply that to any business problem with that combination of effectiveness and efficiency, you're bound to get a good result. Okay, and that is basically the end goal, right? So
Beautiful.
from your purpose to strategy to tactics to operations, at an operational level, that effectiveness and efficiency is the true value add.
No, Aman, that's beautiful, nicely said. Babu, just a 1-minute summary from your perspective. We're about to close the program.
Sure, Naman.
Yeah.
Two very quick comments. I mean, you really did a fantastic job on the previous slide talking about the transformation roadmap, that developing a proper aspirational blueprint, right? Some of the organizations may not necessarily have the knowledge in-house to be able to understand the potential of data science and analytics. So one quick point of advice would be to basically partner with outside organizations, whether it be IndustryX, becoming a member of the World Economic Forum, or whatever entity you choose to work with. Bring in people with experience in this space to help you, realize the possibilities, right? Practical, realistic possibilities that are possible through data science and analytics. That's one. The second thing is traditional accounting practices may not be capable of fully quantifying the value associated with the data science and analytics, because a lot of them take the form of intangible values and things of that sort. So that's one place where many traditional companies struggle a bit, because we have this mindset that I need 6 months return on investment kind of a mindset, and not understanding the value associated with making the firm more agile, more nimble, more reactive, more resilient, things of the sort. These are not easy to evaluate through traditional accounting models, things of that sort. So those are my 2 quick points of view. So, but I think overall, though, I mean, great, great discussion. Greatly enjoyed, the discussion with Nabil, Amandeep, and you, Naman.
I think, no, thank you, everyone. We have just a couple of more minutes. If there's a question from the audience, please add that to the chat or the Q&A. I just want to share with you our next program. So like I said before, this is a program where we're bringing different aspects of this data to value roadmap. And today we'll talk about the strategy. Next month, we are talking about the infrastructure for data science. And on this panel, we will have a number of panelists who will be discussing about this. And then obviously we touched on the organization piece, which is very important. So maybe we're talking about the organization piece. So stay tuned to this program, and you can register to those programs on the website as well. So next month, we're talking about this infrastructure for data consumption and collection. So in addition to Babu and Nabil, we're inviting Brett Wormert from GM, Global Director of Big Data Infrastructure and Engineering. So we will hear from him that what are the key aspects or key insights that he brings, and obviously from Babu and Nabil on this. So I think it's quite exciting today. I really enjoyed the program. I thank you. I thank the panelists. Any last comments, Nabil and Aman or Babu?
No, I just want to thank you, Naman, for organizing these sessions. I think it's always an opportunity for all of us to both contribute and learn, and I'm enjoying it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Aman.
Same here, Norman. Really appreciate you having me, and truly enjoy the conversation. Thank you.
I hope, Aman, that you can come back to other programs and give your valuable insights.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you, Aman. Babu?
Same thing. It was a pleasure. Greatly enjoyed the discussion, and look forward to the discussion with Brett Wormert. Next month, he's seen to be a thought leader in Michigan, has 30 years of experience developing the big data infrastructure at GM, one of the best minds in the state. So eagerly looking forward to that discussion.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate, thanks for the people who joined the program and people who are going to listen to the program. Give us your feedback as well. Thank you and have a great day. Be safe.
Wonderful. Bye all.
Thank you.
Thanks.